Hello students, how are you? I hope you are fine. Students, today we will continue our chapter Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plants. The topic is pollination. What is pollination? Pollination is transfer of pollen grains from the anther of the stamen to the stigma of the carpel. Pollination is transfer of pollen grains, from anther to stigma. We can say also like this, from anther to the stigma. ठीक है जी. Next is types of pollination. Types of pollination. Pollination is of two types. Types of pollination. It is of two types. First is self-pollination. Second is cross-pollination. First is self-pollination. Second is cross-pollination. Cross-pollination. Now first, what is self-pollination? The self-pollination involves the transfer of pollen grains from the anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower. It means that occurs in same flower, from the anther of the same flower to the stigma of the same flower. It is known as the self-pollination. Student, it is generally of two types. It is generally of two types. First is autogamy. And second is geotonogamy. Students, what do you mean by autogamy? Autogamy is a kind of pollination in which the pollens from the anther of a flower are transferred to the stigma of the same flower. And in geotonogamy, it is a kind of pollination in which the pollen from the anther of one flower are transferred to the stigma of another flower borne on the same plant. Very same plant, same flower, but same flower of the same plant. ठीक है जी, एक ही फूल में होती है, ये एक ही तरह के दोनों फूलों में हो सकती है. ठीक है जी. एंड टाइप्स ऑफ ऑटोगेमी. अब ऑटोगेमी स्टूडेंट्स आगे हमारे पास 3 टाइप्स की है. ऑटोगेमी इज ऑफ 3 टाइप्स. फर्स्ट इज क्लिस्टोगेमी. What is the meaning of clistogamy? Students, some flowers are never open because they are very small. And they never open. So this type of condition is known as clistogamous, and the flowers are known as clistogamous flowers. This pollination occurs in that flowers from the same anther to the same stigma, but in flowers that never open. ठीक है जी. For example, Voilia. Next, students, homogamy. This is a type of autogamy. Next is homogamy. What is the meaning of homogamy? Students, some of the flowers in which anthers and stigma of the same plant mature at the same time, and they are come close to each other by growth, bending or folding to ensure self-pollination. It means it occurs in the same flower. Homogamy occurs in the same flower by bending, twisting of stigma or anther. Now next is third type, that is bud pollination. And this bud pollination, third type is bud pollination. This type of pollination occurs in which the anthers and stigma of the bisexual flower of some plants mature before the opening of the buds of the flowers. This occurs in wheat, for example in wheat, rice. Now what are the advantages of self-pollination? Advantages of self-pollination. What are the pollination? Number 1. Chances of pollination are more. Chances of pollination are more. Second, it needs not to produce a large number of pollen grains. No need for large number of pollen grains. And third is flowers need not to possess device such as large and showy petals. It means no need of attractive petals, no need of presence of sweet smell or nectar in the flowers. No need of attractive petals. Students, this pollination also have some disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of self-pollination? Disadvantages are the plants become weaker and weaker after every generation. क्यों वीक हो जाएंगे? क्योंकि हर बार वही कैरेक्टर्स यूज हो रहे हैं and plants become weak after every generation. Second is chances of variation are less. जब वही जीन्स, वही क्रोमोसोम्स हर बार रेप्लिकेट होते रहेंगे तो नो चांस ऑफ वेरिएशंस, कोई भी वेरिएशन वहां पे नहीं होगी. नो चांस ऑफ वेरिएशंस. नेक्स्ट इज क्रॉस पॉलिनेशन. Cross-pollination. What is cross-pollination? Cross-pollination involves the transfer of pollen grains from the flower of one plant to the stigma of the flower of another plant. ठीक है जी. It is also known as xenogamy. It is also known as xenogamy or also known as allogamy. Next, the agents responsible for cross-pollination in angiosperms. Here the students, some of the agents are responsible for cross-pollination. And what are that agents? Agents are of two types. Two types of agents are responsible for cross-pollination. Two types of agents are responsible for cross-pollination. What are that? Biotic, and second is abiotic. Biotic you all know, living, and abiotic you all know, non-living or physical factors. First we will discuss about the wind pollination. First is wind pollination. The pollination that occurs with the help of wind. It is also known as anemophily. It is also known as anemophily. Anemophily is a mode of pollination or transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma through the agency of wind. The flowers which are wind pollinated are called the flowers that are pollinated by the wind, they are known as the anemophilous. They are known as the anemophilous flowers. Now, what are the characters that are exhibited by these flowers for wind pollination? Wind pollination क्यों होती है उनमें? Number 1, flowers are small. Flowers are small, odorless and nectarless. जब उनमें कोई स्मेल नहीं होगी, उनमें कोई नेक्टर नहीं होगा तो उनके ऊपर बीज नहीं आएंगी. दैट्स वाई द फ्लावर्स आर विंड पॉलिनेटेड. सेकेंड, पोलन ग्रेन्स आर small, light and dry, so that they are easily blown away to the long distance. Third, pollen grains of these flowers are produced in huge amount. Pollen grains are produced in huge amount. बहुत सारे पोलन ग्रेन्स पैदा होते हैं. नेक्स्ट, फोर्थ, the flowers are well exposed in the air. Say in certain plants they are produced above the foliage before the appearance of new leaves. क्योंकि इनमें जो flowers होते हैं they are well exposed to the air. कैसे कि the flowers are produced above the leaves. Flowers well exposed to air. ठीक है जी. These are the characters of anemophilous flowers. Now next, examples of wind pollinated plants. For example, grass, sugarcane, bamboo, coconut. ठीक है जी. Next is hydrophily. Hydrophily means the mode of pollination or transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma through the agency of water. The flowers are known as hydrophilous. Next condition is hydrophily. That pollination by water. And flowers are known as hydrophilous flowers. Now, what are the characters of the hydrophilous flowers? Number 1, flowers are very small. Flowers are small, same colorless, same as in anemophily, colorless and nectarless. Second, calyx and corolla and other floral parts are unwettable. वो पानी में रहते हैं लेकिन पानी के साथ गीले नहीं होते हैं. Floral parts are unwettable. Floral parts are unwettable. Secondly, pollen grains and stigma are also unwettable. Pollen grains are unwettable. Students, what are the examples of hydrophilous flowers? Vallisneria, Hydrilla. Hydrilla is an aquatic plant. Vallisneria is also aquatic plant. It means hydrophily occurs in aquatic plants. Next pollination is entomophily. Entomophily means the pollination that occurs with the help of insects, and the flowers are known as entomophilous. Entomophily is the mode of pollination or transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma through the agency of insects. ठीक है जी. Which insects? Moths, flies, butterflies, bees, beetles. Now, what are the characteristics of the flowers that are pollinated by insects? Number 1, the flowers are usually large. Flowers are large and attractive. If they are attractive, then insects become attracted towards the flowers. And second, different colors of flowers attract different species. This also point come in this point कि different flowers होंगे तो different insects को ये attract करेंगे. ठीक है जी. And flowers have nectar and scent, means they are sweet smell or different type of smells. ठीक है जी. Next, small flowers. Sometimes the plant may have small flowers, and these small flowers produced in a bunch, इकट्ठे पैदा होते हैं एक ही bunch के ऊपर to attract the insects. Sometimes they are so condensed together कि only a single insect can pollinate a large number of plants. Only single insect can pollinate large number of flowers. Now, what are the examples of entomophilous flowers? Examples: rose, magnolia, rafflesia. ठीक है जी. These are the characters of insect pollinated flowers. And next pollination is our pollination by bat. Pollination by bat. That pollination is known as chiropterophily. Chiropterophily. CHROPTEROPHILY by the help of bats. By the help of bats. It is a mode of pollination performed by bats. Now bats are nocturnal flying mammals which move swiftly, इधर उधर भागते हैं रात को, and transport pollen grains to long distances. Sometimes it may pollinate the flower up to 30 to 40 kilometers. The flowers they visit are, जो flowers को ये visit करते हैं वो क्या होते हैं? They are large, dull colored and have strong scent. ठीक है जी. तो what are the characteristics of the flowers pollinated by the bats? Number 1, flowers are large, strongly scented and large amount of nectar. ठीक है जी. And the flowers that are pollinated by these bats are, number 1, sausage tree. For example, sausage tree. Second is baobab tree. And the last pollination is pollination by birds. This is known as ornithophily by birds. The pollination that is performed by the bird, that act of pollination is not performed by the all birds. It is performed by the few birds. The most common few birds are sunbird, hummingbird, parrot, bulbul, मैना. These birds help in pollination of flowers. And the flowers that are pollinated are, for example, bombax plant. Only a few plants are pollinated by the bird bombax, that is known as red silk. It is very important. The name of this plant is very important. ठीक है जी. And second is coral tree, bottle brush you have seen. It is planted in the garden and sometimes in the houses also. Bottle brush. Now what are the characteristics of the flowers that are pollinated by the birds? Number 1, the flowers are usually large in color. Large in size. It is usually large in size. And sometimes they may have tubular or funnel shape. So that the beak of the bird may go down in the flowers. The flowers are brightly colored. Flowers bright color के होते हैं that attract the insects. Flowers are usually scentless. कोई खुशबू नहीं होती. They are scentless. And the fourth, they produce watery nectar. जिसको birds suck करते हैं. ठीक है जी. Now with this our pollination is finished. In the next session we will switch over to the advantages and disadvantages of these pollinations. Thank you and have a nice day.